You are now listening to the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast with Stu Francis.
Welcome everyone to the very first episode of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast, hosted by yours truly, Stu Francis. I am so excited for this to finally come to fruition. I have been manifesting this day for so long, and we are finally here. And joining me today on this venture is the very first guest of the episode. But more so than that, he is also the editor and guest co-host of the podcast, Mr. Mike Berikoff. How you doing today, Mike?
Not too bad, not too bad. Happy to be here.
Now, I know that you're happy to be here, but I'm actually kind of surprised that you are here because you've been going through some shit lately. No pun intended.
Yeah, I'm a Crohn's warrior, as they like to say. I had a little bit of issues. Ended up going to ER, but all's working out better now. They gave me the steroid called prednisone, which anybody that's in the Crohn's world knows isn't a fun experience, but it helps with the problem. So that's where I'm at right now.
So what makes it not fun? What is it about it that puts you in a position where it sounds like it's a negative, but it's also a positive?
The best way I like to think about it, I guess since I went, is if you have an abscessed tooth and there's like an infection and you were just going in for pain medication, it's not going to go away. So you would be taking an antibiotic to get rid of the infection. Prednisone is like an anti-inflammatory. So my intestines were inflamed. Painkillers will get rid of the pain, but to get rid of the inflammation, you take prednisone. And the side effects of it is you'll have times where you want to eat a lot. You get mood swings at times, but yeah, and then when you got to wean yourself off of it, you can't just like take it and then stop. So it's about an eight week process, sometimes 4, I guess, if you're lucky.
So this is something that you don't do ongoing. You go to the 8 weeks or you go to the 4 weeks. What happens after that 8 to 4 weeks? You kind of just ride it out until
it's better. The inflammation is gone, but I had to be on prednisone for I'd say it's about at least 2 years. I'd self-medicate and I just thought it was a pain issue. And I would avoid the prednisone because of the side effects. A lot of people, they don't want prednisone because of the side effects. So I kind of just rode that train. And then when I was in there this weekend, the guy's kind of like, you need it for it to go away. And so I just decided, whatever, take it. I'm already here and I'm feeling better now. Like there's like an injury still there kind of thing. Now it's a little better. I haven't had to take any of the pain medication they gave me, like the heavy stuff. So that's good, but I'm on the steroid for 4 to 6 weeks.
Which, it has its downfalls, but in the same sense, it sounds like it's going to be something that's going to get you to a better place. And that's what we definitely want to hear. And that's definitely what I want to hear. We were supposed to do this a few days ago and everything was all systems go. And randomly 20 minutes later, you're telling me you got to go to Emerge and whatnot. It happens so fast. Does it normally come on like that? Or were you kind of feeling a lead up to it? And you were kind of like, nope, this is not happening. This is not happening. Go away. And then eventually it's like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore.
This is where I thank my wife because she's there for me in that sense. So I'd say it was over the like 3 days prior, I was starting to get a little bit of pain where it was more than usual. And the day that I went, I was just more than happy to go curl up in a ball in pain kind of thing. And, and she encourages me to go. And it's good she did, because if she didn't, I wouldn't be walking going, you know what I mean? So it just worsened. So I really compliment her for that. She's there for me in that sense, because I'll just fight it through. That's my preference, is just fight it through, get my stuff done, so to say. She's pushing me to go, and it's in a good way. Like, you got to go. I got kids too, so they kind of see me in that situation, and it's not good either,
We're fucking stubborn, us males, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, that's why they call her your better half, and we're thankful that she's in your life to be able to do that for you. Because, yeah, that was kind of freaky. Here I was sitting thinking, okay, it's time to get set up here, and 20 minutes later, you're saying you got to go to Emerge. I'm like, fuck, that happens so fast.
That's the part that did it to me. So lesson learned is I'm gonna try not to fight it out. It starts kicking on. It's like, well, deal with the side effects, get it fixed. Don't wait it out.
I can understand that. However, if you're going 2-year intervals, let's say, because it's been 2 years since the last time, and it only gives a mild disruption to a high disruption to your life for a few weeks, but it's ultimately for the better goal. I think you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of people that have Crohn's that are with you and side with you. And then there's also going to be a lot of people that are like, take the shit, dude. Take the shit. We know it fucking sucks, but take the shit. Because once you get past it, you're in for a much better go.
Most definitely.
Well, this isn't going to be the last conversation that we have about Crohn's, because you're very dead set on putting out there the message and awareness. And I'm all about spreading awareness about anything that needs it. And that is one of the things that you just don't hear about enough. So we will definitely be continuing to talk about this conversation. It'll be an ongoing conversation. I have to ask, what was the hospital like going to the ER? I haven't been to the ER in couple of years now, and with COVID and everything going on, and you're out in British Columbia. So what was that experience like? Was it relatively empty? Was it business as usual?
I indirectly know a few of the doctors that work there. So okay. I do a volunteering gig with ultrasound stuff. So people that are learning how to use ultrasound equipment will have volunteers that lay on the table. So the doctors will teach them how to use the ultrasound equipment, find things like the heart, the lung. So I do that, and it's with actually a lot of the doctors that work here in town. I call it would be the standard treatment. This time I kind of got what would be the regular treatment. So when I went in, I see a couple people I recognize, and they're like, whoa, what are you doing here? Like, oh my gosh, like this is something serious. And then other times I go in, if I call it the normal treatment, where it's like no one's there that I recognize. Because people will go into ER for just pain medication because they want to get high or whatnot. So it's like this hump you kind of got to get over every time you're in ER. If something's happened to you, I like to call it an invisible illness or an invisible disability. So like, say you got eye problems, but you don't have an eye twitch, so you go in and you're like, hey, I've got a really bad headache. Lights are really bugging me. I need something for my head. They're going to be like, well, you look fine, right? That's the first assumption. So that's one of those things that I kind of have to deal with, because it's not someone seeing me with pain. It's internal, right? So there's no redness, there's no big bump. They've got to, either scan my stomach, or they've got to take my word and look at my chart from other doctors that have seen me. That can cause times where there's a big wait period or an attitude, so to say. The wait times are fairly long. I don't know, maybe it's just I'm judgmental on it, but so say an hour and a half before I seen a nurse, 2.5 hours before I seen a doctor. And then when I had gotten the pain medication, because I was there in pain, it was about 3 hours. I'm at about what I'd like to say a 7, but I go there knowing I'm going to have to wait, whether there's doctors that recognize me or not. That wait is still there for sure. And
so it's about sorry to interrupt you, but it's the same as what it would normally be with or without COVID.
Totally. Like, honestly, when I'm there, other than wearing a mask, I didn't notice a difference. And what baffles me is whether the room's full or whether the room's not that full. It's still around that much time to wait, especially for the pain aspect of it, getting the pain medication. I've had times where I'm in there screaming in pain. I'm still waiting that long. You're just, sitting in the chair waiting that long. You'll see someone, like an elderly person, screaming in pain. Their relatives are going up to the counter like, hey, my dad, my mom, she's in pain. And they go, well, you just got to wait. Doctor will come see you. And they're nonchalant about it. Like you're asking for a condiment at McDonald's, it's like, hey, you can wait. It's like, it's not, that person's in pain, and that pain could escalate to something even worse. That one's the hard one. Like at first I remember going to ER in pain, and it was like, I'm going to get help right away. This is an emergency, blah, blah, blah. Now it's kind of like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to have to sit there and deal with a lot of pain for upwards of 3-4 hours before they help me. And they might not even help me in that aspect, because they have this thing called doing triplicates, I think it's called. If I was in there with pain spikes 3 in a row in a year, they start looking at you like, oh, are you just in here for drugs kind of thing. So you've got to be careful how many times you go there if you're in an extreme pain situation.
So is that why because you did tell me that they took a urine sample from you. Is that why they took a urine sample from you, to make sure that there's no opiates or anything like that in your system, or anything unusual and irregular that they could say, okay, you're just trying to milk this to get some drugs, sort of thing? So
that's kind of like the unsaid thing. I believe they do. And they do that. They'll give everybody a piss test just to know. And it's also to know if they're straight. Like if you're like, oh, I took Tylenol before I got here, like that shit comes up in a piss test, right? they need to know too, like if you've got some like fucking shitty memory, they give you a piss test so they know what you're on, right? You said that you took a medication, you don't know when it was, the piss test will bring it up. So some of it is judgment, but some of it is just checking you out. My pain was left-sided and running towards the back. So the other part of that piss test was for kidney or infection. So I thought maybe it was something different just in case, but nothing came up for infections and stuff. So that was good.
Well, this is all kind of eye-opening for me because I don't really have anybody that in my life that has Crohn's, but someone I was talking to the other day, it was Brad and House yesterday that I was having a chat with. I said to them that I would 9 times out of 10 rather take my situation with the GERD, where it's just some gastro problems that I can take some pills with. It's still not to be downplayed. It still really sucks, but I'd rather have that scenario than have what you go through where you're requiring like some heavy duty pain medication and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm glad you're feeling better and I'm glad you're on the road to recovery, because honestly, I thought I was going to be recording this by myself. So it's actually cool that you were able to pull through, and thank you for muscling through it, as they say.
No problem, sir.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, let's pay some bills now. If you are listening, you are probably listening on one of the major podcast platforms, but please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or wherever you find your major podcasts. The YouTube channel you can find by searching Canadian Talkin Shop, that's TALKIN, or clicking the link listed in the episode description. Also follow us on all of our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at CTS_pod, Facebook.com/Canadian Talkin Shop podcast, and CTS podcast, all one word, to find us on Snapchat. Also, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/CTS_pod, where we have tier membership programs that allow patrons to support the show and get something back in return. Your support is obviously very appreciated. Right now, we only are offering one tier until we have more content and able to offer more to you. Nevertheless, thank you very much if you decide to sign up and become a patron. Also, go to our website at CanadianTalkinShop.ca, where you can find our exclusive merchandise store offering everything from t-shirts to hoodies and so much more. With every purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go to CAMH, which is the Center of Addiction and Mental Health. They are located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Links to find CAMH's website will be listed in the episode description. All right, cool, dude. So now that we've got the bills paid and out of the way, we're going to get to what we call Mike's Opinion, where we get to hear Mike's opinion on the episodes that take place each week, as long as he's joining us, that is. And, well, this week we had you on the show. So what is your opinion about the show that took place with you, good sir?
I loved it. I was a little nervous. It's the first time I've ever been interviewed for a podcast, so there was that. Editing it, that was the first episode that I edited. Yeah, it was really cool. I really enjoyed the episode. I'm looking forward to having it out there for everyone to check out. And I talk a little bit about what I do with Murphy Mondays and the site that I have going on YouTube, Cutlet House Plays, and some of the stuff that I like to do, and a little bit about my family and whatnot. And yeah, it was a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to working more with the podcast and stuff.
I am personally looking forward to working more with you. It's a very new experience to both of us. I was extremely nervous myself because I've never conducted any sort of podcast conversation or interview or whatever the fuck you want to call it. However, there was some sound issues around the 40-minute mark that you'll hear. You'll hear my mic, for whatever reason, it takes a turn, and it's not terrible, but it's living proof that you're dealing with a couple of people that are new to this game, and I'm excited to have everyone hear our growth over a course of X amount of episodes. It was trying to figure out how to communicate with each other too, because most of our communication has always been via text message or online, and this was the first real experience of getting to have a conversation with one another. So it's now learning the intricacies of how we flow in conversation and how that works best. And I find the more we go on, the better we get. But yeah, it's a little raw this episode, but it was a great time. It was a lot of fun. Got really, really stoned. We recorded pretty late at night at my time, so you really hear me kind of take a dive near the end where it's sounding kind of sleepy and a little bit too stoned. But hey, we're learning. We're learning from everything we do. Nothing is going to be perfect. And I hope everyone appreciates the episode the way Mike and I appreciated doing it. And with that being said, let's get to it. The very first episode of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast with my guest, Mike Berikoff. But we're on fucking Spotify.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man.
Isn't that fucking sweet? Like, dude, I saw that last night. I'm refreshing my page, looking, because the program that I use to upload everything, it tells you which ones to load up to. With that being said, obviously I'm refreshing and nothing is really happening. And I didn't expect it to, because it tells you, and the whole point of the preview was it could take upwards of 2 weeks. But once I start publishing episodes after those 2 weeks, then it goes live as soon as I hit live. So on March 5th at midnight, I'm going to hit live and it's going to go everywhere right away. But you have to wait till the show's accepted. I didn't think Spotify would accept me right away. I come home that evening from announcing the show and I saw that it was on there. And dude, I was brought to tears. I'm like, I can't believe real. We've been talking about this for fucking so long. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, least suspected, it's on Spotify.
You did your homework and it shows.
Well, I had a year and a half to do it. You know what I mean? Obviously, the pandemic helped a lot, and just growing over time and being such a fan of podcasts too, like that I take little bits of everything of what I feel is really cool that other podcasts, like big time podcasters, do. Other podcasters, when they are announcing where to go get their show, they always announce it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which I called Apple Music on the preview, but whatever, Spotify. Yeah, this is all the same.
You have an Apple phone?
No, I don't actually. So I had to create an iTunes account and all that shit, but it's all the same shit. Like I've had iPhones before.
Dude, iTunes is so horrible. I fucking anytime I had to download iTunes or re-download it was just a nightmare. And then trying to get it to sync with an iPod or an iPhone, and then when you get an Android, it's just like a whole new world.
It really is. I couldn't believe, being an Apple owner for so long, how fucking difficult it was to load up your own music to the goddamn iTunes and then into your phone. You have to do so many things. You have to uncheck this and unselect that and select this. It's like when I plug in my Huawei, what up, China?
Yeah, you pronounced it right.
How is this pronounced?
No, I said you pronounced it right. I believe you pronounced it right. Because I usually say Weiwei or Huawei or.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it's Huawei, but yeah, shout out to our Chinese brethren with the Huaweis, because I love your fucking phones. I don't care if you're collecting every little bit of data and information onto my shit. I love your phones. So
I got one of those here too.
Yeah, but I can plug in. So getting back to the Huawei's, I can plug that shit in and I can load up all my music like that. You can't do that with iPhones. And then there's going to be guaranteed, watch, we're going to get messages and comments from iPhone users going, it's so easy to load your music from the PC. It's all you have to do is this.
If I get my bongo drum and I send my friend an MP3 of it, they can't go and put that on their iPhone. And if they can, enlighten me and then show me that it's easier than an Android. Like, I don't know, some people might not want to hear their friends' music, but yeah, I'm definitely Android all the way for that. Just the freedom.
Yeah, I'm Android all the way as well for the freedom. And getting back to where the show is at this current time. So we're recording this on the 30th of January, actually, the day after we announced to the world the podcast in its true form, logo, the whole 9 yards. So currently we're on Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Pocket Casts, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, and Podcast Index. So we're already listed at quite a few places, but the big time heavy hitters like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, they're taking their due diligence and their time, whereas Spotify don't give no fucks, man. Like they were the first ones to approve.
I've noticed with music and artists, there'll be people, they make all their shit and they're just like, yeah, let's go to Spotify. And, you know, you go log into Spotify. It's not like you can get your shit on Spotify played. You had to go through like a third party, right?
Well, yes and no. So I go through a third party in order to convert my MP3 file of our recording that we've edited together into an RSS capable file.
Okay.
So that it can reach all the different podcast platforms.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you have to sign up as a creator on all of these different platforms, and then you submit your link, which is your RSS link, and you submit that to the podcast platforms. And then every time you hit live on something going forward, so you've recorded something, you published it onto this third party app, you then hit live, and that sucker, once your show is approved, goes out to all the major podcast platforms that second. You can get it precise to a fine line, right?
Also, one I noticed where if they've got something going with like 5 or 6, it's too many.
5 or 6 songs or 5 or 6 albums?
I call it like a Wu-Tang thing, right? But you don't want to call them Wu-Tang. You want to call them, you know, Method Man, RZA. You know, say if you broke it down into each artist, they only have a limit where you can only have like 3. So if you do something where there's a collab with a lot of people, and I guess when you're kind of just starting on Spotify, it's kind of challenging. People were doing like 6, and then it's like you got to cut 2 people off so they're not on the Spotify thing because it wouldn't allow it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're a hip hop artist and you're coming out with a group, there's 5, 6 of you deep, just like you made the Wu-Tang reference there. You're only limited to having 3 artists on the song, or I'm
because I've just seen it in Facebook threads where someone's like, oh, I did this song with like 4 or 5 different people and I can't put them all on there. I can only put this many on there. Like, what do you do? Right. So they pick the ones that have a Spotify already kind of thing and hope for the best. And it's like learning process, right? For everybody that does this stuff.
For sure. So those of you who may not know, this is my buddy Mike Berikoff, and you'll hear him in the intro because we're going to record an intro together and an outro for pretty well every episode. So that's why I do call him guest co-host, and I give him that moniker of guest, not as an insult, but just the simple fact that he may not be around for every single episode. So at least this way, it doesn't put any pressure on him that he has to come around for every single one. But you're going to mostly hear him on every single intro and outro. But we've been buddies online now for quite a few years. It's crazy to actually think about it because we've recorded this official first episode now, once as a mock. Once there's something I wasn't happy with anyway. I don't know what Mike's feelings were on it, but we can get to that in a bit. It fucking sucked, dude. I was gonna tell you to just quit this fucking whole shebang now and just wrap this project up, dude. You're fucking garbage.
My garage is really cold.
Yeah, this poor fucker was in the garage the whole time, but we can talk about that after. But yeah, it's just so interesting to me how you can meet someone online through a group, and we'll go into the origins another time on another episode about how we actually came together and how we met and stuff like that. But I approached Mike about a year ago because he runs a really awesome Facebook group called Cutlet House Plays, and you're going to hear it ad nauseum. I plan on talking about it quite a bit, helping Mike out with that because he's just doing so great. I mean, you're almost hitting 10K on that, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been looking kind of today. Honestly, I was kind of hoping it'd hit it.
I would hope so too, because I'm like, dude, we just got the show on Spotify. You got 10K on Cutlet House Plays. Yeah, check it right now and see, because you never know. By the time we were having this conversation, it could be 10K. Because when we did the mock recording 2 weeks ago you were at like 9.2, 9.3. And then we recorded the official quote unquote episode last week, to which you were at 9.5, I believe. And then within the span of 1 week, you're at 10.
Right now.
What's that?
At 9.9 right now.
Yeah, you're still hovering and teetering around that 9.9. I know, because your shit just blew up, and we'll get into why it blew up. But
like I'll be quick about it. But they divided into followers and likes.
Yes.
Like Facebook. So basically, from what I've gathered, is the likes are people that are sticking around, and the follows are the people that liked it and they just ditched and they just wanted to follow, kind of thing, or something.
Oh, okay.
Too sure on the difference on that, but
I'm not too clear either, because to be honest with you, I'm now doing the page for Facebook for the podcast, and it's my first real kind of tippy toe into the pages. I've always ran groups. Pages is kind of new to me, so you feel free to talk about the pages right now as much as you want. Don't have to.
Yeah, like it's weird because like I don't even really understand the way the page stuff works. Like if you look at it, it says dog daycare center. Like,
yeah, but that adds to the funniness, though.
Yeah, so
I thought that was by design.
At first, it was, because at first they're like, well, what kind of business is it? And then I put it as like internet page, because you can't put meme page on Facebook.
No, they'll target you even if you did. So why bother?
Yeah, and a lot of these pages online are like that. They'll have something where they'll say that they're weird, these different places or whatnot, like a restaurant or. Murphy, probably someone make a page and it'd be like a mechanic shed. But like, but yeah, the follower and the likes thing is weird. I'm not too sure on the difference with that. And then certain things you'll post, like links, they don't get branch out as much. They really break down like the technical of like where your likes are coming from, where your followers are from. And I think the best way to describe it, maybe logistics.
Well, it's all the algorithms, right? It's all
there you go. Yeah. So like you'll know where your stuff's coming from. My stuff's usually India, a lot from India. My last video, actually, I had people. It was a surprise. There's people from BC watching. I live in BC, so it was like, wow, crazy! Like people from where I'm from actually watched my stuff, because usually it's from somewhere else. So that was a neat little surprise today, like seeing that. And
how fucking cool is that, though? Sorry to interrupt you, but how cool is that? You got people from fucking India watching your shit, dude.
Yeah, it was because I'm a dad too, so I got 5 kids, right? And my son, I was showing him, because I got all the countries on the list, so it'll show how many people are following from each individual country. And it's funny because like I know some of those aren't real, because they use the security where it's the IPs.
The IP, yeah, the VPNs, virtual private networks.
But there's some that are actually from those places, and it's pretty sweet. Like when it comes down to it, and just recently, more people are commenting more. Like where I'd release something and there'd be a lot of likes and stuff, and then now I see the same people kind of commenting, which is really cool. That like there's an interaction on the page, which is really like they want to know what's coming up next. They like the memes or whatnot, and it's cool. Like there's a certain bunch of people that stick around. Like I'll see their comments on the memes, and it's like it's really cool. Like I wish I could make more top fans than I can't make any of them, and they pick it themselves.
Top fan here, by the way.
Yeah, I think because he got in early, which is pretty sweet. Like I noticed if got in early, they got that top fan thing, which is cool. Like there's this one guy, I'll shout him out, but it's like JMT Rock, JAE.
Okay. He's
been in there since the beginning. He liked my streaming videos and stuff. And when I dig back, I'm like, oh, there's like 1 like on this, and it's like he's like one that likes it, and he got top fan. Maybe it was because he liked everything, but
because to be honest with you, as you know, I don't comment on a bunch of your stuff, because your stuff really it doesn't require that in order to enjoy it, right? There's people that do, but then that's the beautiful thing about your page, is that just even showing a like or whatever is enough to get it going and sharing the page. And that's where I come in. I don't really get into the commenting on your page, but I like No, I heart react every single fucking post to the point where
like the string reacts.
I'll go
People
in.
that do that too, which is cool. When it's someone random you don't know that does that, it's like, whoa, that's really neat. Like you can tell they went down your page for like 10 minutes and just started.
Well, yeah, because that's what I do. I'll go and I'll arrange it and I'll organize it so it shows me all your brand new posts, and anything that I haven't reacted on, I'll make sure I react on it. I love it all anyway, so it's not even fake. Like I'm just doing it just because it's you. No. But I'm a firm believer in doing that for people. Like I don't think people understand truly the effect of supporting someone that you know's business venture or whatever by just simply even just liking all their posts and occasionally shouting them out on your page saying, hey, go follow so and so and they're doing great things. And I think people underestimate that power. So that's why it was really important for me to do that for you. But I believe that's why they give me the top fan badge. But I get what you're saying too, that you want to give it out to more people, and more people definitely deserve it. I just think it's really cool that you're building all these friendships through a page. The personality of you is represented in your memes, but no one can see your face. No one knows.
I've already put it out there though.
Like of course you have, but let's just say I'm Joe Schmo off the street, and
you mean my art? You mean my art?
Your art, yeah, for Cutlet House Plays. Like when you respond to people and converse with people and such, when you're on that page, that's just whatever your picture is. It could be anybody, but they're building these bonds with you beyond even looks and superficialness, and I think that's the super cool thing. You're developing fans. You have a fan base. You're the most modest person that I've met about this whole thing. I know you won't maybe necessarily refer to them as that, but that's what they are. They're fans. We're all fans of your work because you do cool shit.
No, I appreciate that, like, for real. Yeah, like and then there's ones that like they're having bad days and they're like, yeah, this just makes my day, like, because there's certain memes that they throw out there that like, oh, you're all king no matter what, and they're like, oh, that's really cool, like I needed to hear that today, and it's like, it's sweet. This one yesterday, I can't remember the name, but they send me this like cat picture. It's just this random cat picture in the DMs, and I'm like, oh, cool, and I sent a picture of a dog, and they're like, oh wow, like I didn't even know you'd answer, like I was unapproachable. It's like, no, I'll answer direct messages, like seriously, like I'll answer them. You betcha, you know what I mean? Like, but it was weird for me because it's like I am approachable, but it's like they thought, I guess it was like too big to be even talking to them or responding.
Well, because I think that's the kind of mentality is you look at a page and you're even new to the page and you really like the content they're providing. There's a few pages that I follow where if I was to send a message, I would kind of feel the exact same way. Just being perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't know whether or not it would be appropriate to message them or they would message me back. But yeah, you're definitely an approachable dude. That goes without saying. But I think it's difficult for people to discern that and kind of get a feel or not. And the same token, I don't recommend going on your page and saying, hey, DMs are wide open, because them motherfuckers will flood.
Yeah, I got ways to filter that shit though. Like if someone's being crazy, that shit entertains me at the end of the day, right?
But you make a difference to people's lives during the day, and the fact that they can pay you forward and boost your spirits when you're having a low. I think that's the coolest thing ever. I've seen it before on your page, and I've seen you kind of, because you have a standard that you want to uphold and you want to release good quality stuff every single time. Like you have Murphy Mondays, and we'll talk about Murphy Mondays in a second. But when you genuinely put your heart out there to say, hey, I'm sorry I'm letting you guys down right now because it's not exactly when you're expecting it, and they hit you back with you're still king or whatever, I read that shit and it makes me smile even. Yeah, I'm like,
ice machine broken. That was what someone else put. That was just like, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, they care about you. It's like you build a bond that's it's something that I've had before in different Facebook groups. That's how we met. That's how we bonded, was through a Facebook group. But I think it's more special that you're doing it as a page, because like I said, there's no like Mike and Stu. It's Stu and Cutlet House Plays the art and the artist, and just that. So you're just blending with your artist, and that's really fucking cool, dude. And let's get more to what you do, because people are probably going, well, this guy's making people's lives and shit, and they're making his. What the fuck does he do? So this started off as just a page to bullshit. You've got a bunch of different tastes and things you're into, and we're definitely going to touch on the music side of things because I know how important that is to you. And we didn't get to talk music when we first did the quote unquote first recording. So I definitely want to get in some music shop here. So yeah, you started off with the video games and doing some online gaming, some GTA and stuff like that. And then you started making your own memes. And then you came across this little yellow dog on the internet named Cheems, and take it away from there.
I noticed my memes really worked with him as a feature. It started kind of picking up traction. I shared him more and more and started developing my own story through the characters to create the Murphy Monday like you brought up. So through the Cheems dog, and if you just Google Cheems, Cheems, lots of his stuff will come up. But anyways, on another note, that it's not my dog, and it's kind of like a worldwide meme kind of thing, like how they, I guess, make Harambe memes. It really stuck out for me, and I started making my own storyline behind it, starting with when Murphy, the one here, I just seen him as a big dog, and I just thought he had a really cool attitude. So I made him go fishing with one of the dogs or whatnot, put that in a meme. It caught traction, and I started making more and more. And then a storyline kind of started developing.
Organically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird. It's not by demand. It's just something that I was doing as well. Like I get on the computer and I'm like, hey, I want to make a meme. And if someone doesn't like it, that's not really why I'm doing it. Like same with the videos. I really just enjoy doing it. I have a blast the whole time I'm editing it, and I honestly do it for myself because I just really enjoy it. And then when I started putting it out there, and people are they enjoy it as well. I like this even more because I do like making people happy. I want to make people laugh. I've always done that, just like in my general sense or whatnot, and into whatever I want to do moving forward, so to say.
Yeah, it really put you on the map online. In my opinion, as soon as you start gaining anything over 1,000 followers, you're starting to do something right, especially when you're climbing and you're constantly gaining new followers. And I touched on it and I said organically. You did this all organically, and the best things are done when it's organic. When we first did the first recording for this podcast, I had notes on the side and everything, and it was so contrived, and that's why I felt it came off with a lot of ums and ahs, and you're still going to hear some ums and ahs every now and again, because it's human fucking nature. That's just how we talk. Sometimes we need a second for our brains, especially you've been hearing me smoke my bong. I might come to some points in time where English not working. There it is, right there. You got to get that reset. However, you did everything organically, and you did everything organically for yourself as a way to express yourself creatively. And look what it's become. And that's exactly, it inspires me. That's what I inspire for this podcast, is to just let it be organic, let it be fun. But you fucking did. No one's going to be seeing this for a very long time. I know Mike keeps saying if you're watching the video version, let me just tell you, you're not going to see the video version for a long time. You'll see it on the Patreon, but not for a while. This dick brings up a Genie in a bottle, Genie, Gemie, because as we'll get into, Cheems has a speech impediment, and this motherfucker Cheems is coming out the bottle. If you're looking at the YouTube version of this, you will see the memes. Mike will put them up for the YouTube version to give you some incentive to see this nonsense.
I never get a live reaction either, so that's kind of unique for me.
Well, dude, it doesn't even matter. It's a good soundbite. So you caught me by surprise. Here I am. I don't even remember really what the fuck I was saying, but this damn dog comes on the screen. And this is what I mean. This is the funny shit that I'm talking about. And this is why I think I took notice of what you do, and I'm like, I got to get this guy onto the show. On the Patreon one day, we'll put out both episodes. It's going to be a long time from now for the video and all that stuff, but I want people to understand how we structured everything and the evolutions that it's taken in a very, very short period of time. Getting to my point about you being talented and taking notice of you through this page, that's exactly why I had to get you onto this stuff, because I see these memes like that and I laugh my ass off, and I've seen videos you've put together and I'm like, this dude has some really fucking good talent and he can put some shit together. And one of my biggest fears on doing this show was the editing. I took some courses and I found them very difficult because it was speaking to me in a language I didn't quite understand. Like, I understand tech, but when it comes to like editing and stuff like that, our sense of humors match up just so much. And you're so good at what you do. It was like, fuck, dude, do you want to come on the show or what and do all this shit? And how cool was that, seeing your name as like an editor?
Yeah, no, that's sweet. Yeah, no, I totally like that. I think that's awesome. And like, I'm not gonna lie, man, there was a part of me like through this, like the setting up, like because of how we met and shit. I'm like, is this like the epic troll? Like did I like make some fucking meme of him and it just hit him? And he's like, no, fuck this guy. Like, fuck this guy, man. I'm going to get him and I'm going to get him good. He wants attention. Like, I'm going to fucking get this guy or something. So like, I admit, man, there was a time where I was like, I might be trolling me, but it sounds really good and it's really fucking awesome. And I remember I was just like, hey, well, if he's trolling me, fuck it, he's got me. Cause like, I'm just going to fucking go with it. And then I realized, no, he ain't fucking around. Like, you're like legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't blame you for thinking that way. That's why I always kept reaching out to you to say, Mike, I'm dead serious about doing this. It's just
like, the way we met. It was just straight up trolling, right? Like,
well, yeah, because to say a really quick story, Mike was brought in by a mutual friend of ours, Richard, that he is actually friends with in the real world and has met in the real world, but I met Richard through my group that I ran a long time ago. He brought Mike in. Long story short, Mike made some memes, put my face on the memes. They were really funny. We all had a good laugh. And then it just kind of escalated from there in terms of the friendship, just because the sense of humors were just so on key. And a lot of actually this whole podcasting idea, I got confident through that group because I would do these Facebook Lives in the group where I would just hop on Facebook Live and smoke weed, chill, and I would bring someone on from the group to bullshit and have someone to play off of, and people loved it. People were watching that shit all the time. I remember one time I was doing my fucking dishes and I had like over 100 people from the group watching me as I'm doing dishes and talking shit on whatever. People would like start writing in comments, and I'm thinking, because once I brought up podcasts to people, I discovered podcasts really late. I discovered podcasts a couple of years ago, just before, like a few months before I announced my own. And then I was telling people, oh, I really love podcasts. They're really cool. And everyone's like, you should do one, man. You would be fucking perfect for one. Apparently, and this is all new to me because I hear my voice how I hear it. I don't hear it how everyone else hears, because everybody hears their own flawed sense of their own voice. You don't have, like, I don't hate my voice. I like my voice. I have no like real energy towards disliking it of any kind, but I'm really surprised at all the people coming to me and saying, dude, you have the radio voice, you have the perfect voice for this, it's smooth, it delivers well. I'm thinking to myself, really? Like, I've heard myself back. Who am I to disagree? I actually didn't know what to expect when I first launched everything. I'm thinking to myself that it could have been too long since I first announced this. People might not be interested anymore. I really don't know. I was really nervous on taking that leap out, and I had my moments of playing around with the whole idea of it, but I'd always come out of it because I'm a really positive person. I carry a positive mentality, and now I just need to learn about the winner's mentality. However, it was through those Facebook groups, getting back to the main point, was where I grew the confidence to be able to even do this sort of thing and think that I could be successful in. Because when people started saying you should have a podcast, I started listening right away. I didn't deny fun because I used to love doing those Facebook Lives, man. Interacting with people like that was so much fun. And I can't wait to do Ask Me Anythings at some point when I have a following and can do that. I can't wait for both of us to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like one that I get in it once I get my like feet wet. Like I had Pauly D in my head. Don't be nervous, bro. Like,
It's hard not to be, though.
It's the weird, like, you're in front of a camera thing. Like maybe I'm old or whatnot, but it's like.
Well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 38.
You're 30. Okay, I thought you were only a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
However, I'm not used to the whole camera in front of my face either. And that's why I wanted to really take my time with the video aspect of this thing, because let me get used to the whole audio first. Then let me start to learn and be a master of the video, because it's easier for me to have a conversation with you and not worrying about how I'm looking at the fucking camera, because no one's going to fucking see this until the Patreon calls for it, because we've reached a level of success where we can feel comfortable putting it out.
Some blooper clips like on a YouTube or something. That might be cool too.
And that'll be a part of the whole thing. But I'm not used to this whole camera in my face bullshit. And you're right, these kids these days are used to
kids these days.
Yeah, you kids these days. I'm 34 years old and I'm on that get off my lawn bullshit more often than not these days. And it's I keep saying I'm too young for this shit. I'm way too young to be talking like this. Not understanding the generations beneath me at this stage of the game makes no sense to me. But we're from that weird era where we went from the biggest technology being an Atari or a Nintendo, not Nintendo DS or Nintendo whatever the fuck is out now. I'm talking like the old school 1985 looking console, motherfucker. Yeah. That's what we had as kids. And then we grew into the technology. And it was such a long period of time where technology really didn't advance that much. And I feel like we all just blinked after the year 2000 and we haven't looked back. It hasn't stopped. It's been 21 years of just rapid, crazy progression. Are we the Jetsons and floating in the space cities yet? No.
And it's video, like we were all, I guess, normalized growing up to pictures, there's always a, like, I remember I didn't like get a picture taken, but now like a child, they've got tons of pictures that are stored on if their parents have a Facebook, like which parent doesn't, right? They're like, well, who are these people? Aren't we supposed to practice privacy? Like
leave it to kids to point out the obvious and we be oblivious to the fact that it is obvious. It's that little subtle check and reminder from the universe that children are only able to do.
Yeah, like it's insane. So like I've had family members like at times they're like, well, why don't you share more? And it's just like, why don't you visit?
Not only that, it's pretty fucking incredible you give your children the choice of what gets posted and what doesn't. Right?
Yeah. And I'm not making any, they don't want no Facebook when, like they're 12 years old or something either. Like there's like no bashing the parents that give their kids the Facebook, but
no.
Some of those ones are the same ones bitching that creepy men, message their daughters when they're 14 years old on a Facebook page. Like,
well, that's kind of the thing. If you're going to allow your children to step foot into this world, which it very much is a world, and it's filled with many different personalities and many different people, and not everyone has the best interests for your child. And to let them go into that so young, you're playing a risky game. Again, no judgment from my end. I'm not a parent. I can tell you what I think in my mind is right and wrong, but who am I to tell you? You're the one that's parenting the child. Maybe you parent this child to the point where the child is very understanding of what goes on, only goes on to talk to maybe 2 or 3 people on a profile with no profile picture, no nothing, just a blank picture. Because I've had some friends that have let their kids on at a fairly early age, and they're really mature children and really good parents. And it seems to have worked out just okay.
I get that, I guess, but I call it like the randoms. They're like friend collecting and they're 12 years old. Like that's a little concerning. Like,
Well, it's the same with online gaming too, right? It's even more dangerous with online gaming because once you go into an online matchup and you don't have the settings turned off for your microphone and you're in the public match with the chat, anything can be said to anybody.
Oh, it's horrible, man. I can't get a straight game playing on chat. Like you put on your chat and you want to play a serious game. Like, oh, let's team up and let's go storm this building or whatever. It's like, no, there's always going to be someone like turning the volume up or swearing or whatever. Like, I'm kind of blessed in that one too. My kids don't want to put on the microphone. They're like, everyone swears, and I don't understand because I can't swear back, and I don't think it's right. Like, I'm blessed in that regard, but
Well, how old are your kids? Because I think it's pretty incredible that they have these sort of mentalities, and that's just a testament, I think, to the parenting involved here. So yeah, how old are they?
my youngest is 3.
Okay.
And step up from that set of twins, 5, sorry, 7, and then 10.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
One boy, 4 girls.
1 boy, 4 girls. Which one's the boy? Is the boy one of the twins?
Oldest. The
Oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started off with a boy, because I was thinking that you just went girl, 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 and then you finally hit the jackpot and got boy and said, all right, now I'll stop.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't even pull out of a driveway, bro. Like fucking 5 kids.
Yeah, that was the all-in plan. So yeah.
But yeah, you went with the boy right away, and then just kept hitting girl, girl,
Yeah.
girl, girl, girl.
Because for all the females that don't, all the guys get to choose the gender all the time. They just don't share that.
Yeah, that's a secret that I can't believe. Did you guys just hear that? That is breaking news on the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast. We control the sex of the child. So if you say you really want a girl and you always end up with a boy, that's because we did that to fuck with you.
On purpose. Exactly.
On purpose. Everything we do is on purpose. Going back to Cutlet House Plays, you're blowing up, you're doing a big thing, you've got these characters. So you've mentioned Uncle Murphy, who you have the Mondays with, and how that transitioned, which I think was really smart. That's another thing I really like about you, is your thumb is on the pulse. You pick things up without even picking things up, if that makes sense. It just resonates with you. You scan, you read, you just look through, and you see what reacts and what doesn't, and you go, huh? And then you're creative, and then your mind starts flowing. So
yeah, like I try to stick with current events a bit too. So there's that part of it. So like when it comes to some of them, that can be a little more relatable than others. I'll see a current event and I'll see if I can throw something in there, because like I think it's kind of cool. It totally is like because I think it's cool, not like a, oh shit, like can I get like this many likes out of this one? Because like I'd be like encouraging people to share. Like I don't encourage it; it just happens, right? Like they like stuff, and I think that's just amazing. Like it's cool.
You don't promote shit. You don't promote a damn thing.
No. The only thing I spent was $5 for a Shoe Nice shout out, because I like Shoe Nice. I think Shoe Nice is cool, amazing.
What's Shoe Nice?
Shoe Nice, YouTuber, old school YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Might get ripped for that one too. You don't know who Shoe Nice is?
Rip me. I'm like I said, I'm 34 years old. I was born in 1987. I don't know who these YouTube people. No, I don't know who the shoemaker or shoehorn is. What the fuck?
Shoehorn?
Yeah, fucking the shoemaker. I don't know who none of these people are. No offense, shoemaker, shoehorn, whatever your name is. I'm sure you're plenty talented, but I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know how happy you YouTube people are.
So yeah, anyone that's inspired here that hears this when they hear this, if they want, they can go to Cameo, right?
Right. Yeah.
For $5, you can get Shoe Nice to rip on Stu here.
Yeah. There you go. So go spend $5 for our buddy Nice Shoes.
Nice Shoes.
And old shoehorn with the nice shoes, and tell him to talk shit about me, because all that's going to do is whoever all these Nice Shoes people that like him are going to take notice of my shit now. So there we go. We're 1 episode in and we're already got some online controversy. Oh, well, isn't he right now Mike's showing me a picture of Shoehorn here.
That was probably one of his better ones.
Oh, wow. Well,
like, did you ever watch YouTube? Okay, back in the day when like YouTube started.
No.
Some guy that ate like a bar of soap or a stick of deodorant or like something like just fucked up and crazy.
No.
It was probably him back in the day.
He's
still around.
I don't recall none of that stuff. And listen, I'm not trying to be arrogant or say like, oh, I'm above YouTube. It's just YouTube is never something that I'm still not into YouTube. I use YouTube for meditations, and that is it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Like if you're not in like a YouTube thing, I guess that's what it was. That was the only $5 I spent because I like his stuff. I think he's a funny character or whatnot. But I haven't paid for any advertisement or anything at all. It's just all natural.
It's not even about paying for it. You don't even advertise. I'm saying, period. You don't advertise like at all. Like you don't ever go into your stories and go follow me or none of that shit. Whereas all I do is that.
I did in the beginning when I was doing gaming streaming because I wanted people to watch me to stream, sure. Right? But like no, like it didn't happen. And then I just really liked making memes. I focused a lot on that. I did join groups, like, so there'll be times when I post a meme and I'll share it in other groups.
Right.
Which I think a lot of them do just for the traction. So I guess if there's anything me advertising, it might be that, but they're all meme groups that want to see people make their own memes. Anyone that's doing the dog memes or the Cheems memes that I've seen, they have a name that's like that. You know, it'll be Cheem, like this one guy on Instagram will shout out his things, Mexican Cheems. Mm-hmm. So you'll have like Mexican Cheems, you'll have like European Cheems, you'll have Sherlock Cheems, or you'll have like different dog named versions, and then you have mine, which is Cutlet House Plays, which has absolutely nothing tied to the dog when it comes to a name. So at first people are like, well, why the hell are you named this? And it's just like, well, that's what my brand is. And now I'll see people that'll be like, oh, that's from Cutlet House Plays. That's really cool. I like their stuff. And yeah,
because people are taking notice and they're shouting you out, they're tagging you and stuff. And you showed me a few of the screenshots of that, and I just smile on my face the whole time. I'm like, attaboy, you're getting it fucking done. But you got the Murphy Mondays. So Murphy's a character, to describe to the listeners, that's kind of like the bumbling redneck down in the South United States sort of deal. Yeah. Like he's fun loving, but at the same time he's like blissfully ignorant to the world around him and what's going on. And then you have Uncle Murphy as Cheems' brother, and Cheems has a child, which is Cheems Jr. And then there's Kyle. Is Kyle Cheems' son as well, or?
So those following the memes and anyone listening, I guess that didn't follow the memes, I'll tell them. But if you follow the memes, you get the answer to that through there. So I've already given the answer, but some people they're kind of in the dark.
And that's a plug, people. Cutlet House Plays. There is the plug. So the motherfucker does advertise.
He ends up being Uncle Murphy's kid, because Uncle Murphy slept with Karen before Karen was with Cheems. And then Cheems ends up finding out, and Cheems, currently in the meme thing, Cheems is in rehab. So he had a relapse because he found out that Murphy slept with Karen. There's Kyle, and Kyle's the relation there.
So Kyle is the child of Karen and Cheems?
Karen and Murphy.
Karen and Murphy. Okay, so that's right. Kyle is Murphy's son.
Yeah.
Right, the illegitimate love child of this.
And currently is in foster care with those characters will come around at some point. I think just kind of like as like a fade in kind of thing. Nothing like a big feature, but those characters will be known. There'll be some kind of spin-off so that people know who his step parents are, right?
Yeah, because you can do whatever you want at this point. I mean, we've even, not to spoil it, but there's been talk of a new character coming through that's along the Murphy relation. So
yeah, that'll be out by the time this gets out for sure.
Yeah, so there's a lot you can do with it and a lot you can do to play around with it, which I think is really cool. But Kyle gets taken on these adventures with this Uncle Murphy. Now, Kyle isn't like his dad. Kyle is very below millennial, like I would say Gen Z?
He could be any of them, but when I portray him, he's just kind of like moving day, like he's the one that's lifting the pillows, right? You know, he's the one kind of taking the easy way out of anything he could fucking do. Like he doesn't want to be anywhere at all other than doing something like playing video games, or mischievous on the side too. Like the one meme where I made, he was just like, yeah, I'm bored, like let's go flood my parents' toilets. Like it just he's a little shit. Like I don't see what the attraction to someone would want to hang out with Kyle, but he's also like a little bit popular, so people want to be with him. But he's just generally an asshole, right?
So yeah, so those in our age group that are listening, picture that jockey type kid that you grew up with that's obnoxious, that you want to punch in the fucking face, yet seemingly a lot of people gravitate to this person and elevate them to a social status to which they do not deserve. That is Kyle in these memes, but in the modern take with the modern views, because a lot of this, like it's, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want people to go and I want people to go on the page and actually follow along. But there's like talk of COVID, and it touches on so many things that are going on in the world too, which I think is really smart. You take that semi self park route where you make your social commentaries through your artwork, and it's all funny and it's with characters. It's not a cartoon, but it's almost became one because you started tying in the memes into videos. And I think it's really cool that you did that. So why you did this is because you started to notice all these new followers are coming and they're following along on Murphy Mondays as they jumped into it. And you find a lot of people are going, this is really funny, but what's the story here? Like, where did I leave off? So what you've done is you created this funny intro with the Family Matters and you started doing videos, catching people up through the videos. You put the memes together to the point where it's like watching a show. And is that fair to say, ever since you've done that, you're fucking just like, I feel like the rocket ship is strapped to you right now and you're soaring.
It started doubling, right? Like
tripling, even
started paying attention. Yeah, like the rate. People were really interested in the video part because I was originally going to make a timeline just of all the memes, because if you look back, if you scroll all the way down in the photo section and you were to start at the bottom, you can catch the whole storyline with memes, but you got to filter through a lot of different other ones too, right? So that's basically what I'm doing with the videos. I went to the very bottom and I'm going from there. I was going to do the next episode, which is based on the memes that are down there. I'm not going to say. If someone looks, they'll see it, but if they don't, they'll see the video. And I put a vote up. It's like, well, Murphy go on vacation or does he stay home? And everybody wants him to go on vacation.
Yeah, so, I voted vacation.
Yeah, so he's going to go on vacation. And other people are like, well, what's he do? Does he ditch Cheems? And it's like people are going to see it. Cheems Jr. is always with Murphy on Mondays. Like, I didn't really want to say it, like, and I'll say it here, but it's like, he's always with him. Like, there's no way that is going to change. So for someone to be like, what's he doing? He's like ditching on it. Like, no, like that's like their day. Now, will different occurrences and fuck ups come on along the way? Yes, most definitely. But like Cheems Jr. will always be there with Murphy. So there's that, right? Like, and then some questions about like COVID regulations, and I won't get into that, but we'll see that more. Like, you know, and when it comes to vacation, everybody remembers, or you know, their parents, when their parents be like, oh, you want a treat, or their relative, it's like, you want a treat, and it's like they're going for a ride while they pick up something from a fucking store or some shit, you know, or it's like, it was really no treat for you going along, but they're making it sound like it was this big adventure. That's basically what's going to happen to Cheems Jr. there. You know, he's like, oh, I'm going on a big vacation, and it's like, are you really?
Well, that's the thing. He's so impressionable, and he's with someone that doesn't realize the error of his ways, and you can't wait to see Cheems Jr. grow up.
Yeah,
because he's going to take on all these principles of Uncle Murphy, and he's from this broken home, and his dad's a drug addict, or his dad's the drug addict, and the mom's in jail, right?
Well, now, right? So like, when you go leading up, like, Cheems is just, he's working every day. He's on the horny police force. Like, he's working all the time, and
bonks for everybody.
Yeah. If you bring a bat, you have to wear a hat. Yeah, so he's on the police force. He works hard all the time, and you know, they got a nice place. Karen just wants more money and more freedom, and he's just working his ass off. And then he finds out that she lied, and you know, poor Cheems doesn't know anything about sexual education. So like, you know, he thought that she was the first. When you look more into the memes, like Bruce knows, the Bruce dog knows.
Because Bruce is the most fucked up dog. So Bruce, to give people an understanding, because this is pretty much the final dog at the moment, Bruce is the dog that he is the real life drunken buffoon that is wild and down to break any law. and down
Yeah.
to do anything fucked up. Like he's on the stripper stage, hounding the strippers. When the bouncers are about to get him, he's probably grabbing them right quick and appropriately. This is how fucked up this
Yeah.
Bruce dog
He's
is.
like, if anybody's played Grand Theft Auto, he's like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, that's an accurate. That's very, very accurate.
Like the crazy guy that just like, oh yeah, he'll do all the drugs in one night because he can, and it's there. And he's gonna yell and swear at everybody and just do whatever he wants because he's Bruce, and everyone knows, that that's just what he does, and he'll tell them to fuck off if they don't like it and move on. Like, and he's kind of like Murphy's bad influence. Like anything that Murphy's kind of doing to clean up his act, Bruce comes along as kind of just like this constant like dragging into bad situations. If I get 10 episodes deep, like Bruce is going to maybe have to clean up his act or at least attempt it, because like Murphy's coming around from his like depression stage, right? So like I guess what I'd say is like Bruce is a bad influence nonetheless, but he's there for a reason, and everyone will see that reason as it goes.
I think that's why your page is one of the coolest, because there's going to be probably a section of my audience that's listening to this right now going, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Yeah.
But I'm really into memes. And if you're into really funny memes with like a dry, sarcastic humor, but also a social commentary, it's so many different things. And if you want to see some real creativity, I encourage everyone, you're going to hear it all the time. You're going to see it in every description of every episode. I'll shout it from the rooftops. Go to Cutlet House Plays on Facebook. Check his shit out. If you don't find it funny, that's cool. Obviously, it's not, comedy is subjective to the person who finds it funny.
Like everyone's got their niche, so to say.
Yeah, and you've absolutely found yours. But what's cool about your story is, let's rewind a little bit. So I touched on it earlier about music and how music's a big passion of yours. But let's go back to when you started music. How did you get into music? Who influenced you? And what pushed you to start creating your own music?
I'd have to start off with MySpace.
Okay, cool. Yeah, MySpace.
I would go all the way back to MySpace, and I remember adding certain people and stuff like that, and I was like, holy shit, like you guys are making songs, people are listening to your stuff, they're interacting with you, like this is more possible than just like you make something and something's in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you could make something and get worldwide reach depending on how far your reach goes. And I seen that in MySpace, and I was just like, whoa, cool. Like, and I kind of fuck around here and there, but like I swore I had just some kind of knack for it. And so I seen MySpace, and I remember I started making songs. Honestly, like I get all fucking drunk or partied up, and I'd make songs. If you look up Radic MC, RADICMC, like my music's still actually out there. Maybe
Through
not
MySpace.
Well, the links on MySpace, I don't know if it actually plays on it. Like, so it's kind of like, it's one of those things you kind of got to dig for. There's Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
On there. I can't like log into that and get it. I've got the songs. I was doing that for a little while. I remember performing. I had moved up to Tassus for a bit. Tassus, BC, it's a small town here on the island. And I performed in a bar there. My music was really like, I was trying to hit like a shock value with my music. Like it's just, there's a lot of swearing in it. There's a lot of vulgar kind of thing.
Because you're hip hop.
I can't even say it was hip hop, because like hip hop, I believe has a degree of like, you might be learning something in the music, or there's like a message in there. Like maybe I had a message, but my message would have basically just been like, fuck you or get fucked up. Like it just kind of didn't, there wasn't anything catchy. Like we're chilling in the summertime, like hanging out. Like I got a song about like crack whores and all this other fucking shit. Like it's all the stuff like I look at now and I kind of roll my eyes, and like someone wants to listen to it, like go for it. Right. But like that's not something I'd be performing now, but it was something I dipped my toes in. Like I really liked making the music and creating the art. I had a few things I did on YouTube, like a few videos where I made like mashups and remixes. For inspiration, I'd say it was mainly like there was like local rappers. Like I remember Swollen Members was really big around that time.
Mad Child's one of my favorite rappers.
Yeah, like now I admit I'm not really into it as much now, but like that was something where I was like I call it the Victoria thing in Victoria, BC. So like you got like Nelly Furtado, you've got like Mad Child, like the Swollen Members, right? So I was like, well, like that's even closer because I'm in Nanaimo. That seems more like a reachable instead of just the you even had it in government commercials when I was younger, where I was like, you have a 1 in 5 million chance of being something big when it comes to being a musician. You need to find something else to do with your time. And that was like one of those ads where I was just like, holy fuck, like you guys are like cruel. Like you're basically saying anybody with talent don't have a chance, and it's just a fucking lotto, right? But it did strike me, and then I'd see things where I was like, no, these people fucking prove this shit wrong. You know what I mean? Like they might not be billionaires, but they still were able to do what they wanted and achieve the dream that they wanted, right? And get the recognition they were happy with, so to say. So I guess that was inspiring. Those people I listen to Necro a lot, and I like Necro because I think it was just because he crossed some lines. Like, you know, I had a really nice stereo, and you fucking crank that shit in like 9 a.m. before you get ready to go to work or whatever, and you're gonna piss off a lot of people. And
yeah,
as younger rebellious person, I really got my kicks doing that sometimes, right? And then I started making my own music that was somewhat similar, and I got really like looking at it, I'm like, well, I'm not really that person. I don't really do those things. Like, so truth in music kind of started hitting me. And also equipment, just like being able to have the stuff to make a good sounding product was hard, because when I was doing the Radic MC stuff, I just had like a shitty computer mic, like one of those ones that are big and long, kind of thing.
That's what she
like,
said.
Nice. But it even goes further. You put a sock on it, like that's for real, man. Like you put to like get the muffle off and stuff. And I remember I had a laptop, and this mic hooked up to a laptop on top of a speaker. One day it just fell off the speaker, and it just fucking killed everything. For me, it was like fun times growing up, not really so much a career. I'd like to do music again, but I want to be a little bit more doing what I want, more fun, more broad. And I'm like a dad now too, right? Like, so,
yeah.
So there's some of that, not to go all Will Smith or anything, but like there's some of like that when it comes to my music and stuff, where it's like, yeah, I might want to play something my kids can listen to. And
Well, you've evolved, right? I mean, your music, you touched on it when you said rebellious, because I was even going to ask you, do you feel like your music was inspired just by just a rebellious nature? And clearly it was.
Yes.
It goes without saying, that's exactly. But now you've evolved so much, and you're coming from a different place, and that's the beauty of like witnessing. Linkin Park is one of the biggest examples. When they first started out their music, they were screaming, they were really angry, and so on and so forth. But they evolved as musicians and as people. They became dads and everything, and the music got softer and a little lighter. And people like myself, I wasn't a big fan of it, sort of thing, right? But there's a big section of people that are. So, but that's the beauty of music. That's the beauty of art. That's the beauty of being an artist. It's an extension of yourself. So when you evolve, so does your art. So it's going to be really interesting to hear what you can do now, because now you got a really nice Blue Yeti mic, and you're inspired. But so you wouldn't say it's hip hop, but you rap. So would you say it'd be rap? Because to be honest with you, I've never really been able, I love the genre of hip hop and I love the genre of rap, but I couldn't differentiate them. I just know I love music that people associate to both genres. Would you be able to explain the genre thing a little better to me?
When I think of hip hop, I think of people like KRS-One.
Okay.
People that just like, I call it drop knowledge.
Yep. Oh, KRS did a lot of that.
As much, and we'll touch on it at another point. But like, I was a fan of his till recent events. But like Talib Kweli, like Mos Def, things like that, like those type of people, like
MCs.
Yeah, originators in that, and it's like you could listen to their music and you could break it down and you could learn something, right? And then you've got like the gangster music, where I call it, it's just like, we're gonna fuck you up when we're rolling, we're gonna take.
I call that street tracks.
We're fucking mad bitches and like all that shit, like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
that's street music,
street gangster kind of shit. You know what I mean? So like there's some new artists where you look and you're like, well, what are you doing? Like, you're kind of doing it all, or what the fuck's like your message? So, and also too, like, I don't like shit that sounds all the same. So I guess I don't.
So you don't like anything from the new genre of music then? Because I know I don't. Well, I don't like.
Oh no, I don't stick to one. Like, I admit, I'm not a huge fan of country songs. I like comical country songs, but I do stick with pretty much anything, as long as it's catchy, right? Or it has a message that kind of sticks to home, or it's funny. Like if it's a song that some people think is really serious and I just end up thinking it's funny, like it'll stick in my head. Like one of the ones when I was working construction and I still throw it around sometimes, I'll walk up to somebody and be like, do you ever feel like a plastic bag? And I'll just like walk away, right? And then someone will be like, is that fucking fireworks, dude? Is that firework from Katy Perry? I'm like, yeah, man.
Oh,
Like,
I had no idea what that reference was.
that's what I mean. Like,
I'm really hoping he'll explain it.
Some people don't get it, right? And they'll be like, oh fuck, that's just Mike. Like he's fucking weird, man. Like, and then I'll get a kick out of that too, right? Because then you got this group of people that are like, he's just fucking weird, right? Like, I don't know if you remember. Well, who doesn't? Like Gangnam Style, Psy. So like that got me into like a bunch of different Asian type music and whatnot. Like I pick up music from all over the place, and it's weird because if someone was like, well, what's your Spotify list? What have you listened to lately? And I don't have a lot in there, but I do listen to a lot of different music at different times. So to say, like Matthew Good Band, I really like Matthew Good Band at different points in my life.
Fucking love Matthew Good Band.
Other times I'm like, I gotta stop listening to Matthew Good Band because I've been depressed for like 5 days apparently, and like I gotta walk away from it. Like
that's Matthew Good. You got to avoid Matthew Good altogether if you're feeling depressed. Matthew Good Band, like if you put on anything from Beautiful Midnight, you're okay if you're depressed because there's a like Hello Time Bomb and stuff like that's on that album, and that's a beat up tempo. But if you play anything from his solo shit, and I love his solo stuff, but you have to be in a certain type of mood to listen to Matt Good. If you're depressed, just stay away from it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like I know that's weird, but like sad songs and shit when you're sad, man, like you can get in that fucking hole pretty deep.
Oof.
But yeah, like I have a lot of different songs, like Oasis. I listen to Oasis, Blur once in a while, not as much, but it's just so random where I can go with different bands. There's one from Sweden. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but Korpiklani. It's like a really good
you just upset the whole nation of Sweden, okay, right?
I was gonna say it's a really good fiddle metal band. Like who the fuck would say that, right? But it just fucking cranks the fiddle, man. I shit you not. And the first time I seen this, I started busting the gut because I was like, this can't be serious. Like this guy, it just pans off to this guy and he's got a fucking fiddle and he's just giving her, right? And they're in like Game of Thrones type clothes. And I'm like, no, this can't be serious. My friend's showing it to me. He's like, no, dude, it like picks up. And I'm like, it picks up? Like the fiddle man fucking picks up? Like, dude, you're kidding, right? And then they get these guitars in there and it's heavy metal and shit. And they're just like, they're talking about, singing about drinking beer and just fucking getting loaded. And they've got this whole stage set up like they're in medieval times. And that's what their band's about. Drinking beer, fucking oil, like, and it's just like this like Viking kind of like we're fucking giving her, and I was like, whoa, this is like a whole new world for me. Like, and then for like a year, I'm like, hey, you guys seen this fucking fiddle band? Like, but yeah, like music, man, will hit me, and I'll get obsessed for the longest time. Like right now, I'd say Oliver Tree's the one that I'm kind of obsessed about. Which he's inspired me for a lot of shit because his music has these ones where it's just like it's focused on being yourself. Not really giving a fuck what anyone thinks. And I truly believe that as long as you're not harming anybody, do what you do best and be yourself. It's really important. It makes yourself happy and your goals can be achieved. You can do whatever you want. You put your mind to it. I truly believe that.
100%. We're doing it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, no, I couldn't agree with that more. And music is definitely one of those things that's very, very powerful, and you're going to feel different things at different times for different things. But I just wanted to say that you pissed off any Scandinavian listener at this point by asserting whatever it is, the genre of this fiddle metal band. They'll be like, excuse me, sir, it is not fiddle metal. It is so-and-so yodel, fucking whatever. So needless to say, so you want to get back into music and whatnot. So what is your steps in order to get there? I know you're going to obviously use your platform now. How do you transition that?
Right now, I've got a song in the works that I've pretty much wrote. That one I'm going to do on that page. I've got a video idea with that. It ties in with the Cheems content. It also ties in with the merge. Me basically doing what it is that I want and my passion. when it comes down to it, if someone's like, hey, like this page sucks now because of what you're doing, like I'm not getting rid of doing memes. I'm always going to do memes. I'm going to keep doing Murphy Mondays until the day comes where I'm just like, this ain't my thing.
Sure.
And I don't see that time coming anytime soon.
No, you're only starting.
Yeah, and I do truly have a blast with it. I know the way the internet works. I ditch on Murphy Monday, someone else is going to pick it up. That's just the way it works, right?
Yep.
And if someone else, I call it like when it comes to the video episode, because a lot of people do that in the internet where they're like, there's a story here, it's only halfway. Who's going to pick it up? You know what I mean? And I made my own storyline with these dogs. A few of them are like, that's not the original where it started and how the meme is.
Yeah, you fucking purists.
Yeah,
Chill the fuck out.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know. There's all these spin-off shows that are out there now with the superheroes and shit. So that's kind of where I go with that. I'm like, okay, well, it can be looked at as that, you know, like the series where like Superman was a child or something. I don't fucking know. Like how Star Wars is so riddled today. Like it's not original either. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the thing. It's been hoarded out and passed along through time, and that's how it would be with yours too. It's just it's really cool what you're doing, and it's going to be really interesting to hear your music when you tie your music and stuff into it, and I think it's just going to get you noticed on another level. But to close down the shop here, I thought we could end with a bit of a bang. What was 2020 like for you, and what is your opinion on some of the controversial things that happened throughout the year? Now, you can be as forthright as you want to be, or you can be as conservative with your answer as you want to be.
2020, it was inconvenient. Obviously, at times it was inconvenient, and I look at the good and bad in everything. Like I know it's sometimes people think that's crazy to say that, so I try to look for a positive in it. So I admit I'm now digging a bit for negatives. I can't stand wearing a fucking mask worth of shit, man. Like the quarantine I felt was a little bit over the top, and just like how some of the things, like how the malls are open and how the stores are open, and then you have other places that are closed, like churches, like the schools that they went through their little closure there. They're open now, but they went through a big closure there for a bit. When I go into a restaurant or I go into like a McDonald's to grab a coffee and everyone's just chilling, they're sitting at the tables, they got their masks off. If this is a big thing that everyone should be concerned about, why didn't the quarantine stay? Why didn't we put the hammer down and have a big, shut her down? And like, why are we so lax? Like it just seems in this weird like limbo that doesn't make sense, but there's still control there. Like I'm not saying the virus isn't like COVID isn't real. I'm not saying that at all. No one's paying attention to the fact that the percentage of elderly are passing away more, because this is around the time that they are passing away more. Like I call it we say boomer, but like, the boomer generation, so to say, like this is where we all got the senior homes, where everywhere we were building that shit up like 10 years ago. Well, those people are starting to go. And it seems that's a degree when it comes to the deaths and stuff. That's just my thought. Like no one dies naturally now, I guess is what I'm getting at. There's not someone who just died of old age. They died of COVID. And that one I start paying attention to, and I go, I don't know if they're just finding more and more people, and that's just the top of the story. No one else dies of anything, but it's up for speculation for me, because it's like when I look in the news, the numbers of like elderly passing away seem to be the same, but they all have COVID now. So.
I couldn't speak to the numbers of the elderly dying and whatnot, because to be really honest with you, as we've talked about before, I've shut myself out of any sort of mainstream news media completely. I've shielded myself as best as I could, to the point where the only times I really get hip to anything is if someone of my friends shares a post, or if I'm walking into an establishment to grab food, as I'm a food delivery driver part-time, I'll see CP24 on the background, which is one of the news stations in Toronto for our international listeners that may not know what CP24 is.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Yeah, it's a Toronto-based station, so not even, our friends out here in the BC area even know. I find, and I'm trying to be not careful with my words, but I want to be sensitive in terms of sharing any sort of opinion on this thing. I just find we're in this weird space-time continuum where things just don't make any sense, and it's just all over the map. And the numbers that they do release, it's like, are they true numbers? Are they real numbers? Are they padding them? Are they not padding them? Is there more people dying from it, or is there less people dying from it? Like
Yeah.
you said, are they dying from just old age? No, they're dying from COVID. And I've heard different things from different people that, so and so doctor came out and said that they were paid by their, the coroners especially are getting paid to write death by COVID on birth
I've
certificates and
heard
stuff.
different speculations of that in the States and stuff too.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how true that is, and that's my biggest point here. What's true in all this? I think it's fair to question everything because there's so many contradictories on a regular basis on all levels, and it's from all over. Like, your kids are back in school right now, right? You said
Yeah.
our
Two.
kids are our kids aren't in school at all. None of them.
Really?
None of them. And it's been like that since Boxing Day. And for our international listeners, again, it's the day
Oh, because
after
they extended the
Christmas.
break. So you guys got the extended break.
They got the extended break that just hasn't stopped. So, and
I truly believe, like, sorry to interrupt you, but I
that's
believe
good.
that there's a bunch of people that's just like, who the fuck wants to work, right? So if you can get
Sure.
that extended, if you can get that extended thing in there, why not? Like it's random, but like I follow the shit in town here, and it was like it was supposed to snow on a Monday, and you've got lots of people that are just like, it's gonna snow, and then you can see online, it's like, fuck, we had to go to work. It's like, because they were hoping it was going to snow so they didn't have to go in, right? Or that the schools would be closed so you could sleep in on Monday and shit. Like that's in like human nature, and like I see it with that shit because people are like, we want to extend the break, we're concerned now. But then you look back and those are the same people that are like, we don't want more regulation and we don't want to be fucking locked down. It's like they got to kind of stand on one side, like. So how you have the people that, like, you can tell that they want to extend the break, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's right.
we can extend this, right? Like we need to really crack down here. And if you look back on their shit, you could see that they don't want more regulation. They don't want any of that. But when it comes around to, they might get a break off work, or it's going to be paid vacay. It's kind of like, they're getting paid off to be like, cool with this shit. I like money like everybody else, and I know I'm going to fucking take it. But like when I see that in between the lines, it's like,
Well, that's where public opinion becomes to the point where you can't listen to public opinion because there's so many factors that are driving people's opinions on this matter.
yeah,
And that's why it's like it's not something that I want to talk about ad nauseum, and I don't want to give away everything of what I think about 2020 because I just don't feel like it's the outlet to do that. Everybody's motivated by someone, and like you said, there's a big chunk of the population that's motivated by not continuing on with whatever they don't want to continue on with. And then I tell all those people that are listening, if you're one of those people, you need to really ask yourself, what is it that you're doing in your life that you're so trying to avoid to the point where you're cool with us shutting down society during a pandemic?
yeah, like for money. And eventually, like you can kind of see, if you're paying attention to the economy with it, that it's gonna fuck shit up. Like history repeats itself. Like you can't just give a society free fucking money and keep giving them free money and think everything's gonna be okay. Like shit's already fallen apart with the businesses, like
Do you think
go
that's
look.
by design? Do you think they're trying to make it so it's all just big business and this is one way to just weed out all the small businesses? Because a lot of conspiracy theorists, and I actually have a couple that's gonna be on this show. Conspiracy theorists feel that this is a way to eliminate currency, to eliminate and make
Cashless.
one world dollar, a cashless
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
and to eliminate all small businesses. So it's all mega conglomerate companies, and that's the only thing that exists. Do you think that there's some truth and some,
Well,
uh,
if there's not, it's definitely pointed that way. Like I call it, like with the conspiracy theories and shit with that. Like if it's not, it's definitely pointed that way. Like you have small businesses falling apart all the time. You have more people being shut in, even more that don't go out.
Well, they're a drain on the economy too, small businesses that are failing because they always have to get government bailout and assistance to continue and then ultimately end up folding and going bankrupt anyway.
And it's like if it went away tomorrow, right? You're gonna have people that are gonna go, well, I want to fucking open a business, right? And they're gonna try to take over that area. Well, who's gonna have the money to do that? That's gonna be the corporations that are gonna be able to do that. And everyone's getting used to kind of the new format. I had a theory. It was like, well, you eliminate all the reasons to go out there and make it super convenient, then no one's going to do it, like there's times I really enjoy automation, and I get that there's scenarios where it takes people's jobs, but I don't know if that's also in design, like they just find the shittiest worker and throw them on the cashier, so when you go down there you're like, I'm never going to use a cashier again because this person's a fucking idiot.
It's a valid question.
And so this happens to me, like buying fruit and vegetables. I don't know if this happens to anyone else or it's just me, but one of these motherfuckers, you'll get an $8 bag of apples and they fucking throw it down and fucking scan it, and then they bruise 2 or 3 and then they put it in your bag and they bruise the other 3, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I think we've all had those type of encounters.
And it's like, you could say something, right? You go tomorrow and buy apples, they're gonna do, then another person's gonna fucking do it again. And so when I buy produce, I literally go through the self-checkout because it's easier for me. I know my shit's not going to be fucked with. And
you got some angry cashiers out there in BC. It's such a beautiful place to live. Why are people so angry?
Oh man, like you can tell like they've got to work there, right? So it's like, but they don't like their job, and it's almost like they shouldn't be in customer service. Like, I used to love customer service. Like it was one of the things I really like to do, make a customer happy, positive experience, all that shit. And then you can try to make people's day all you want. You're always going to get that person that's going to treat you like a piece of shit fast food worker. I could see that rubbing off. Like we had this joke about this one person. We go to Tim Hortons and get coffee every once in a while. She's got this badge and it says 15 years experience. And she's got to be the most fucking cruelest person you talk to in the morning. And it's just like, holy shit, she's fucking snappy and everything.
And it goes against you.
Yeah, and it's just like, fuck, you can tell you're like, she's here for a reason. She's been here for 15 years. She's older. She's not losing her job. But now I got to fucking deal with this when I get a coffee. Like, oh, I'll get a triple. What size? Like, it's like, oh shit, I haven't got there yet. Or like, I might say hi first, it's like, well, what can I get you? Like, it's like, all right, that drives me to go to automation. But at the same time, that it might be costing someone their job, but whose job is it costing now at this point, right?
Well, that's society has deemed us in all these different positions in life, and society has manifested the cashier position to be something a robot can do, as the old saying goes, and literally have replaced them with robots. But there is a skill set to a good cashier, but at the end of the day, it's just scanning merchandise. Like I'm a big fan of automation as well. I apologize to any cashier that's lost their job because of it. But
like someone's got to change, like what I say to that, sorry to interrupt, but I say like someone's got to change paper in that shit. Someone's got to fucking upload the new program. Someone's got to tinker around with whatever doesn't work, and someone's got to wash the fucking screen. So there's a fucking job there. Like it hasn't taken away the, and I always say this with those type of jobs. It's like, you don't fucking like it, go get a trade, go to school. We've got a country that will help you get learning to go get a trade.
Well, especially trades.
Yeah, like the person that's working there for 20 years at McDonald's, like a part of them, I'll fucking say it, whatever. They want to be there, whether it's the perks that are there, or the job, or they just like fucking being there. I truly don't believe anyone's forced to work in those situations, especially where Canada as a country, it's like we give a lot to the unemployed. You know what I mean? Not saying that everyone should quit their job and get on the fucking system or anything, but especially now with COVID, like all the money that you can get just being off.
People are lucky there's a liberal government during a pandemic.
Yeah. In the long run, that's where I go, are we, like, the whole money's not free, right? It's got to come from somewhere.
Well, that's where we'll have to kick Trudeau out of office, and not to get political, but this is the ebbs and flows of politics in this country. We employ the liberals and we keep them in for a really long time, and they spend, and then we eventually get sick of the spending, and then we call on our friends the conservatives to come in and tighten up the books and right up the ship. And
Yeah.
it doesn't always fall to that exact method, but that's the game plan for the most part. We go red for a really long time, and then we go blue for a while, and
Yeah.
then we go red for a bit. The States does it too. Any democratic system does it. You have to have your left to spend, and then you
And
bring in your right to shore it up.
And I was for Trudeau. He wants to legalize weed and all that shit, and tons of other people were like, we're gonna vote for him because he wants to fucking legalize marijuana. And
Smoke a bowl to that. Thank you, Mr. Trudeau.
What I like to say to that one is fucking Stephen Harper there. He was like the dad, the strict dad that fucking spoiled kids didn't want.
Yep.
I like to look at it that way, you know, and the fucking spoiled kids, we wanted the fucking the take it easy dad, you know, fucking go ahead, stay up all night and eat sugar and watch fucking movies and all that shit. And now look where we all are. Like, you know, we're all hating life because the strict dad's what brought us the fucking morals and the shit that we needed as a country. That's my opinion. Am I saying vote conservative? No. I truly believe that with him.
Even with a conservative government, in my own personal opinion, I don't feel like we're ever tough enough on crime and certain. And we're very, very relaxed on our laws here, but to a fault, I would say. But I get what you're saying, because the conservatives do come in and tighten it up a little bit, and that's what they are. They're like they're that strict dad that you need at times. And I'm not saying vote conservative either. I walk straight down the fucking middle. I look at the situation when it comes time to vote, and I look at the status of the country, and if there's a feel for change or a need for change, I go in the winds of change. In no way am I a leftist or right, and I don't understand why we're getting all so crazy. So that it's funny that we end up talking politics through talking about COVID in 2020. Do you feel that COVID is political? Because that's a hot button topic. People think that it's not. I'm on the side of I think it's very political in ways, not in total, but it's been made political.
Look at SARS. I always look back at SARS. I'm going to bring up Justin Timberlake here. So if anyone remembers SARS, they remember that the Rolling Stones came into Canada there and they did that concert, and Justin Timberlake was getting bottles thrown at him and shit.
He was in. I don't know why they booked him at that show with a rowdy Toronto crowd.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I give him props. He went through it.
He like a champ.
Yeah. But like, fuck, dude, the shit getting thrown at him, that was priceless, right? And now he's like doing one for COVID awareness. Like, it's crazy how much things change. And if I'm not mistaken, it's in the same category of virus. And the push was the same back then. People might not remember it, but it was there. And everyone stood up going, you know, this is bullshit. You know, we're not going to sacrifice our businesses and our tourism. We're going to stand up, come visit our country, you know, enjoy Canada. This isn't something you need to be afraid of here. Mm-hmm. And that almost wasn't even something anybody even looked at when this started happening. You know, like, again, I'm not saying it's not real or anything, but anybody rebelling against it was just given that mark, like, you know, well, you're a Trump supporter. It was very convenient to say, like, if someone wasn't in agreement with these regulations, they're a Trump supporter, you know. And so that end, I'd say it's political. And if it was just a big setup, it was perfect to get Trump out of office. Like, they were doing anything to get him out of office.
So, and that gets into my final point, is that the establishment and the elite use news media to like throw out COVID, but then they have all these other agendas. These are questions that a lot of conspiracy theorists come up with. And what bothers me is that people might listen to this and get offended. I fully understand that. However, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying these things are factual. What I am is I'm a free thinker. And these are things that I think are possibilities. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm never going to know the answers to any of these things. But there's things that I question, and there's things that I look at and go, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense to me. And I think of scenarios as to why that could be plausible, and then I put it away. I don't fester on it.
If someone's offended, express why. Because if there's a valid reason for it, then that's definitely something that, you know.
Yeah, if anybody's listening to this and totally offended by everything I'm saying and would like to come on and the show and have a conversation with us about it, I implore you, email me, stu at canadiantalkinshop.ca, DM us on any of the social media channels. We'd love to talk about it because these are just our perspectives on a free thinking level. It's been really fun talking shop. I think the shop is closed. Dude, you're doing awesome things with Cutlet House Plays. Your enthusiasm for your role on this show just makes my enthusiasm grow. You're more than just an editor. You're the man that's making this more possible because of your involvement. I thank you. I can't thank you enough.
Oh,
And
no, no, baby, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, dude.
for
Yeah,
sure.
love doing it.
And I love doing it too. So let's keep doing it. Let's keep talking shop. Let's keep putting out good content. And in a year's time from now, let's set nice goals and let's watch them grow. All right, so that's the very first episode in the books. You heard it. It was what it was. But again, we had a really great time doing it. It was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward, Mike, to recording some stuff in the future. You and I beyond just the intros and the outros, but to actually record another sit-down conversation and kind of get some more in-depth on you and what you offer with the Cutlet House Plays and where that's at that time, because it's continuing to grow in popularity, and now your focus is kind of switched to the YouTube side of things, and that is really super cool. Next week we have one of my best friends, Daniel V, on the show to come talk shop. He is in the financial industry and he gives some really great financial advice in this episode. He also touches on a numerous different topics in the financial world that, to be honest with you, I never even really sat to thought about. So I encourage you all to stick around. If we haven't lost you yet, people, and you want to come back and listen to us again next week, we encourage you to really, really tune into what Daniel has to say about the financial world and the financial sector, and just where we fail our children on education of financials and money, and how to properly save your money, and how to properly invest your money. These are all really smart things. So definitely come back and check us out next week. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review and we will start reading comments on the air. There will be some sort of incentive in the future. We will run some sort of contest where whoever we end up reading on the air, we're going to put you guys into a contest once a month and we're going to draw your name and we're going to issue out a prize. So get started on it now. Start getting all the comments out there now, because we'll just do one big raffle when we do decide to start it. However, once that's done, each week after that, you will be entered in, and after 4 weeks, we will do a draw. Other than that, I just want to give a quick shout out to my family, the Christensen family. Now, my last name is not Christensen, but these are people that I consider more family than most of the family I share blood with, and that's Alan, Heather, my nephews Braden and Mason. I can't say enough about you guys. You guys have been my biggest fans for whatever I've decided to do in my life. You've been my support system. You've been there for me when times when other people weren't there for me. You'll literally drop anything you're doing to assist me if I need it. And you love me unconditionally. You accept me as part of your own family. And I just wanted to share my gratitude for all of you guys because you deserve to have that gratitude shared with you. And maybe sometimes I don't say it enough, but this is an opportunity for me to be able to express that to you. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for me, every feeling that you give to me from a loving standpoint. And I love you guys to the end of the world. And thank you very much again. Now, Mike, where can we find you and anything you would like to promote for the show?
Yeah, you can find me and my work over at Cutlet House Plays on Facebook. Also, if you look up Cutlet House on Instagram, But the YouTube channel is where a lot of the videos are going. If you look up Cutlet House or Cutlet House Plays, Murphy Monday, that's on there. There'll be some links in the description. But every Monday I have a video series with Shiba Dog, Uncle Murphy, and it's into its sixth episode currently.
So, which is really crazy. I mean, and from where you've started to where you go to now, and obviously everyone heard some fair details within the episode about Murphy Mondays and about Cutlet House Plays, but you're on 11,000 likes and subscribers right now on Facebook. And that's really, really amazing, because when we recorded the first episode together, it was at 10,000. You're at 11,000 now. What are you at for your YouTube right now? I know you've been slowly building that up, or have you reached the 200 plus mark yet?
Yeah, I'm at 223 as it stands right now.
Awesome. So let's help Mike get up to 500. Go to the description, click the link, give the man a follow. Again, Mike, thank you very much for hopping on to the first episode as the guest. Thank you for being the editor. Thank you for taking the time out of your day when you're currently going through some medical stuff to make this happen. And look forward to continue talking shop with you, dude.
You betcha.
All right. Well, thank you once again, everyone that listened to the podcast. And until next time, I'm your Canadian Talkin Shop, Stu Francis, signing off.